chat. How long did it take you to get accustomed to the industry you're in now?
Yeah, so I mean, basically, it was just baptism by fire, right? So I joined AFEX maybe 2 years ago, new to the agri sector and new to the country as well, which is also another key fact. I would say it took a good year before I felt comfortable in my role. To be honest, that I even knew what I was doing. Right, there was so many challenges and things that are just new. I mean, we talked about the skill level of analysts coming in, people that you can trust to get the work done. We talked about the structure of the agri sector in the country, essentially like the non-existent trust structure, and being liable and responsible for things that are entirely out of your control, but yet the customer expects you to deliver. So I was told it was a sales gig which I was coming into, but at the end of the day, if it's hard to actually find supply, right? The production in this country is just so low, and then because the production is low, the goods are quite expensive. What are you selling? And so then became managing supply chains and how to effectively get commodities to the market before you then actually get to the selling part. So yeah, it took a while. It took a while before I understood what was actually happening. But the good thing about it is that, quite frankly, everybody is learning, right? So even the person that's been there for 6, 7 years, more than likely, even your CEO, the field is so dynamic and changing and growing, that everybody is new in this sector. So don't let anyone fool you and think that um, they're already established and are confident in what they're doing, because it's changing rapidly. No, I was gonna ask you guys, maybe Nana, like, what are you most excited about, specifically with your company, but then also, looking at the sector as a whole.
Good question. What I may be excited about may not be very great. It may not be very great for everybody, because I realize we are having there's a how do I put this? There's a looming challenge I see coming, which is on the food side. And I'll give you an example. Um, about sometime in March or so, I was looking for equipment. I needed a couple of tractors and stuff to be able to use on our farm. And at the time, about $200,000 was going to get me about three tractors and all the implements I needed. Come October, that same $200,000 only got me one tractor and got me three implements. What effectively happened was the cost of production has gone like through the roof. That's one. Number two, they did not even have the implements available. So they are requiring that it will take 30 days from the day I have made full payment to be able to get the equipment I need or I require. Why is this exciting? It's exciting to me because I'm happy I am in the sector. I'm happy I'm in the agri space, um, which is great for me. But I hope that other people are recognizing the importance of the agri space within the African context, because we do not manufacture any of the implements we require for commercial size farming. We do not have the requisite skills to be able to grow or develop our food, or grow our own food on a large scale. Yet, Africa has the largest growing population and the fastest growing one as well. And so, the challenge I see ahead is that we have this growing population who require a lot of food, yet we don't actually produce any of it, or we are not invested in that aspect of our business. And so, for someone like me who actually came from a real estate background, I did quite a bit of stuff in real estate and technology when I moved back to Ghana in 2012. However, in 2019, I have taken the agri business a lot more seriously. In 2020, when COVID hit, then we really kind of went full time into the agri side of our business. And I'm very happy about where we are right now, with what we have acquired and what we are growing or building. I'm just also a little, as I am excited, I am also just a little more concerned about what this means on a global scale. Because now, picture this, and not to be gloomy, but picture that Thailand or Vietnam decide to shut out their borders from letting food out. all the rice that we have been depending on as an African continent, all the maize we have been depending on as an African continent, not only to feed the people, but to feed our animals, to feed, like, our entire continent will need a lot of food, yet we do not actually produce a lot of it. Prior to now, the largest rice farm even in Ghana is owned by a Brazilian. After that, it's owned by another Brazilian company. After that, it's owned by an Indian company. Before, there are people like me. And so just let you understand that, look, we need to take agriculture more seriously. We need to take development of our own continent into our own hands. And then we need to start making a difference in that regard. And so my hope and goal is to do more in the agri space, encourage more people to get more interested in agri space. And that really is why I call myself a chief farmer as opposed to a CEO, because I want people to know that, hey, farming is interesting, farming is exciting, there's money to be made, and there's also impact to be made while making money. And so these are the things that I'm kind of excited about at the moment.
Awesome. Adaeze, what about you?
What am I excited about? I just think that in terms of like development, and I think that there's like, I don't know, our generation and the generation below us is super passionate, and we are trying really hard to correct some mistakes that the elders left. And it makes me really happy to see, because I don't know about Ghana, but in Nigeria is very much despite all odds. And I think I'm just really excited to see how people innovate and the ideas that they're going to build as they like the ideas are going to come out of out of this era, and the future of Africa in general. Really, sometimes it's a little bit hard to hold onto that hope, but then you talk to people and this person is doing this cool thing and the next person is doing this cool thing, and they're all like under 30, and that makes me really excited. It makes me really happy that people care, because it sometimes might feel the opposite. And yeah, it did get a little bit scary during COVID, because I know that a lot of the stats were saying that COVID was going to take us back, especially in Africa. All the advancements that we made in education and women's rights and all of that was going to, go back. But I see how hard people are fighting to not let that become the reality, and so that gives me a lot of hope. And just from like a personal perspective, I'm really passionate about working with organizations that are impact driven. So I've gotten the opportunity to work with a couple in the next couple of months, and hopefully in years. And I'm really excited to help them like tell their stories and grow their impact. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. I think that just to piggyback off something Adaeze was talking about, is the passion of the current youth, which is at our generation and lower. I do see a small challenge though, which is the challenge of misguidedness, or should I say, some people are still in a cloud to a large extent, in that they will require some guidance or some direction of how to go from that initial idea or that initial success to being able to create something that's sustainable. Because sometimes you see people who they are very driven, they have great ideas, but they kind of need a bit of guidance or mentorship to be able to make a difference, or to be able to to go beyond their own, becoming local champions and being more globally minded. And I hope that I love what you're doing with your not-for-profit, because then you are able to provide some level of guidance based on your experience to some of these younger ones.
So one question that we didn't answer is, in the grand scheme of things, what really determines longevity and success in this career? And I think we kind of touched on some of it, but I think there's two perspectives here. There's this perspective of like the founder, CEO, chief farmer, and there's the perspective of someone who is like a manager. Wait, what level are you at, Hemense?
Yes, I'm a manager.
Yeah, so just want to mislabel you, but yeah, like within a company. So those are kind of two different career paths. So what do you think determines longevity in your perspective?
Hemense, it's been a while since we heard your voice. Go ahead.
What determines longevity? Yeah. So look, I think there's a level of consistency that I don't see in people um, that don't make it. So they're hot, they're cold, they perform, and then they fall off and drop off,
Mm.
and either get distracted or they see a quick opportunity to make an extra few nairas here and there and jump to it rather than that consistency and building layering upon layering skill sets to each other to have a long career. And it's a grind, right? So not every day is going to be a good day. Not every season is going to be a good season, but just showing up and being there, I think speaks speaks volumes and guarantees your success. And then from an organizational standpoint, maybe Nana can speak more of that. But I to make it very simple is how commercially successful are you, right?
Mm.
Um, and not saying that it's simple to achieve, but quite frankly, I think people just forget with a lot of businesses that you just have to be viable. There's a lot of people that will be in your ear, a lot of partnerships you could engage in, that just distract from the vision and the mission, and being able to be steadfast and focus on what you're trying to achieve. What is your underlying strategy for success? So despite other endeavors that you engage in, what is the flagship program that's guaranteed to bring you money and keep on churning? So Google's never gonna not do a search engine, right? And it's always going to be perfecting that because that is the core of their business. Whereas they're jumping into different parts of the fintech space, and trying to excel in that, right? So I think that's just key for future CEOs and C-suite members to remember.
Yeah,
And
I
I think
think.
this,
Go
oh, go
ahead,
ahead.
Adaeze.
I was just gonna say that you guys are coming from the business perspective, which is great. But then I think even with organizations that are like social impact or impact driven, like nonprofits or social enterprises, this still rings true about keeping staying true to your mission and vision. So if you are an organization for women, you might get distracted by something else that maybe you think we can get more funding for this to do XYZ projects, but it's outside your core vision of helping women to, to get better access to healthcare. So, and that doesn't mean that organization can't grow or evolve, but it's really important to stay true to your core values, even like as a social enterprise or as an impact-driven organization. So, I just want to say it's not just for, you know, uh, for-profit organizations that this applies to, basically.
Yeah, I think you're right, and the perspective is not very different. Like you said, I realized that as well in the youth, and that's why I said some of the youth require some level of guidance. In that, today people think it's all about how much I have sitting in my bank account, but what could take you from making, for instance, $1,000 to making $10,000 is not as much your career projection. Oftentimes, someone who's dealt with you while you were at a particular place and recognized or identified that you were consistent with what you did is able to recommend you, and then you move straight from being just a Lagos champion to being a Geneva champion, for instance, where you are making significantly more, even in a different currency. And so I realized that people need to realize that they need to pay it forward with their hard work. There is no shortcut, and any shortcut that took a short time to get is probably very easy to equally fall off from that. Sometimes people come to join an organization that just moved to Ghana, for instance. So there are these external companies who move to Ghana, and they come with all these like high hopes and expectations. They are willing to pay people a lot more money in dollars, and then what you realize is people leave your organization and they go right there, and then before you know it, in about a year or two, they're like, hey, you know what, it didn't work out as well as we thought. Off we go, and then now here you are stuck again. And so being able to and I will say this, you should probably have 3 or 4 people within your network who can literally vouch for you. Oftentimes we have taken out the referee part of our CVs, but now more than ever that part is probably the most important, because You could go on LinkedIn today and you have like on your DP say open to work. But I'm not going to hire someone that just says open to work if I haven't spoken to somebody who's worked in an organization you've worked in before, unless I'm not trying to build a sustainable or I don't have a big vision. But if I do, I'm very interested in who gets to join or who gets to partner with our team. Because, for instance, I don't even call my staff mere employees. For me, they are like partners. They are like colleague achievers in what we are trying to achieve as as a vision of the company. And so it's important for us who gets in to the company. So for instance, we've had like a finance role up and available for a while. We have not been able to fill that in yet, not because there are not people who are CFA certified or ACCA certified. It's because we haven't just found that person who seems to be the right fit.